Well, that was an accurate representation of what's happening this week. Also, I just found out that there is a channel with the same name as TechTalk. So... oops. I've pandered around a bit if I should rename this show. And I've decided to keep it. Screw it. I decided to just keep the name anyway, because the boat's been sailing, and, well, there's no stopping it now. So, let us talk some more tech. We got a lot of new stuff this week. Starting off with the new Xbox Series X. So whilst everybody was wondering why the PS5 logo looks a lot like the PS4 logo, a couple of days ago, Austin Evans drops an exclusive look on the brand new Xbox Series X. And yes, that is actually the name of it.
This generation is just called Xbox, and this specific console is the Xbox Series X.
And the specs are actually nuts. So it's got 8 AMD Zen 2 cores that can clock all the way up to 3.8 gigahertz without multi-threading, and it can sustain that clock speed for basically forever. It's pretty consistent, which is, according to Austin, pretty good if you're a developer, since you have this much control over your processor. You can optimize your game for the console and such. It's got AMD RDNA 2.0 graphics, which again, according to Evans, has not been released to PCs yet, so that's pretty cutting edge. It's got 52 CUs, not sure what that means, but it's also got ray tracing included. So if you take a look at Austin Evans' video, you'll see him playing a lot of Minecraft with ray tracing, and it looks so nice. It's indescribable. It's just so beautiful seeing a bunch of blocks shine like that. It's just great. It's also got 16 gigabytes of DDR6 RAM and a proprietary 1 terabyte SSD. So this isn't your ordinary SSD. It's developed by Microsoft themselves, and it can pull 4 watts from the system itself, and it's apparently so fast that you can't play Xbox Series X games outside of that SSD. So basically, if you want to play Xbox Series X games outside of that SSD, in case you're like out of storage or something, you can't use an external hard drive. Instead, what you gotta use is a memory card thing that was developed alongside it with Seagate, that also provides you with an additional 1 terabyte storage, and it attaches to the back of the Series X. With all that specs that are in the Series X, you get basically a gigantic cube with PC-like performance. On top of that, you also have something called Quick Resume, and this is probably the most interesting feature of the Series X. So, say for example, you want to play some
Forza Horizon 4,
but your friend suddenly goes, "Hey, let's go play some Minecraft or something." Ooh, you don't have to like, give me a minute. I need to like close the game out and swap. It's gonna take me a while. Sorry. Instead, you just open up your game's menu and just go on to Minecraft, and boom, you're already playing Minecraft. And that game of Forza that you're in, it's saved within a virtual machine of sorts in the Xbox Series X, and it stays there until you go back. So when you go back, it just boots up, boom, you're back to playing Forza. I'm pretty sure a good chunk of PCs don't even do that as well, so that's pretty neat. What else? The controller, yes. It almost looks the same. Yeah, it almost looks the same as the old Xbox One controller. In fact, I believe Xbox is calling it the Elite 2, but it will be compatible with the old Xbox One, and the older Xbox One controller can be compatible with the newer Xbox One Series X. Why did I call it the Xbox One Series X? These names are confusing, man. It will ship still with double A's, but I think Microsoft is giving you guys an option to either whether or not you want to use the rechargeable battery pack, or just buy a bunch of double A's if you're that kind of person, or if you have some rechargeable double A's lying around. That could be pretty convenient. It also has something called HDR reconstruction. I have no idea what that means either, but apparently it gives you the ability to turn any game into an HDR enabled game. So not sure if that will improve gaming experience, but okay. So the console will launch sometime at the end of the year, but it is nice for Microsoft to give a sneak peek of the console this early, especially now that in the Sony front, literally nothing else is known about it other than the logo. So yeah. Also, apparently it looks like a toilet seat. Alright, so let's move on to the next news. And we got something from Netflix, so you may have heard of it. Netflix, it's the biggest streaming company in the world. It's home to shows like BoJack Horseman, Formula 1 Drive to Survive, 13 Reasons Why. Actually, who watches 13 Reasons Why? For us here in the Philippines, we now have the single cheapest Netflix plan available at only 149 pesos. So according to Yugatech, Netflix has just launched a new mobile-only plan in the Philippines. It's also been launched in Thailand, India, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So according to Patrick Fleming, Netflix Director for Product Innovation, he says that Filipinos watch 2 times more Netflix on mobile than the rest of the world. 2 out of 3 Filipinos use downloads on their phones to watch Netflix on the go, and due to that, the Philippines has become an attractive market for Netflix, who are enthusiastic to introduce the mobile plan in the Philippines to make it easier for everyone with a smartphone to enjoy Netflix at home or on the go. So that's pretty nice. You can now watch Netflix for such a tiny package without having to create 47 alternative accounts like Eggman does. Being the cheapest plan available, there are going to be some limitations. For one, you can only watch Netflix on your smartphones, which is kind of a bummer since I do like to watch Netflix on a bigger screen, but all the other Netflixy stuffs that you get on the app is still there. Netflix has also added a few more extra features, which includes smart downloads, which you can download the next episode of, I don't know, BoJack, I guess, Big Mouth, I don't know, to your phone over the Wi-Fi and delete already watched episodes. You also have mobile previews where you can watch little snippets of the show in vertical format, kind of like a very familiar website. No. You also got a feature where you can share little snippets of your show to Instagram stories, Twitter, or WhatsApp. And it's also got a data saver mode now where you can stream up to 6.5 hours of Netflix on just a single gig of data, which is nice because let me be honest with you, 2 gigabytes for 1 week is not enough. We need unlimited internet back. Yeah, this is nice. For something so cheap, at least now you can watch all your favorite shows. So you can pay for the mobile-only subscription using credit or debit cards via direct carrier billing, though I'm not sure if you can be able to pay using a mobile load, much like how Spotify does. I will check on that. Or you can use a Netflix gift code, which I haven't seen in any shop anywhere in the Philippines, which is kind of weird. You can also go to the Code Shop website and select the 149 mobile plan prepaid code option on their website. Alright, so next news. And we got a double feature today, and it's both from Apple. So we got some good news and bad news from Apple. Let's start off with the bad news because bad news is always so fun to read. So Apple gets slapped right in its very fruity face with a historic 1.2 billion fine from French authorities. According to Unbox.ph, the fine originated from a 2012 complaint from premium reseller ebizcas.com. That is a very complicated word to say. I apologize if I completely butchered that one. And French authorities found out that Apple was guilty of anti-competitive practices, which included agreements with Apple and 2 of its wholesalers to not compete with each other, stopping premium resellers from lowering prices and unfairly treating those with very same retailers. Gigantic oof. Yada yada yada. Apple said Apple was a disheartened and it will appeal the decision. Whatever. So that's the bad news done. The good news is we now got a new iPad. who the heck buys iPads nowadays? So, according to Tech Radar's time, Apple has launched 2 new iPad Pro models, building on the iPad Pro 11 and iPad Pro 12.9 that launched 2 years ago, but adding in a more powerful, more functional, and more expensive keyboard, because everything at Apple has gotta be really expensive. The ProMotion 120Hz display hasn't changed in a year and a half, but the internals are faster and the camera should support more advanced augmented reality functions down the line. The new iPad Pro models were announced on March 18th, and you're able to order them today on Apple's online store, although I'm not sure when that's going to be released in the Philippines. The actual iPad Pro release is on March 24th, according to Apple, although the online store says that the first delivery date is March 25th in the US. Let's take a look at some of the key features on this thing, because this kind of looks like something that you see in like a sci-fi movie. In fact, this might be the same tablet that's on Detroit Become Human, except it's not see-through. So, it's running iPad OS 13.4, which is basically iOS, but optimized for iPad, so you got stuff like widgets and all that other stuff. You know, it would have been nice if iPads came with macOS instead, so they would directly compete with Microsoft Surface tablets, but no, Apple's still reluctant to do that. So iPad OS 13.4 specifically brings trackpad-like support to the operating system for the first time. Apple says the cursor appears as a circle that highlights user interface elements, text fields, and apps on the home screen and dock, giving a clear indication of what users can click on. Fluid gestures on the trackpad make it easy to switch between apps, access App Switcher, and activate the dock controls, center apps, and apps and slide over. The camera is where Apple seems to have mostly improved the new iPad. That isn't a big focus for many people, but it is aimed at those who want to experience augmented reality experience on the iPad. So for the first time, Apple has included 2 rear cameras on the iPad Pro. One is a 12 megapixel aperture 1.8 wide camera, while the other is a 10 megapixel aperture 2.4 camera. And there's also a new feature called the LiDAR scanner that is designed for depth sensing capabilities, which should improve portrait photography on your iPad. And you'll also be able to film in 4K. And it's also got the new Apple A12 Bionic chip inside, and it's designed for demanding tasks like quote-unquote editing 4K video or designing 3D models. And apparently, Apple claims that it is more powerful than most Windows PC laptops. I mean, it would have been if you put Mac OS in it, but okay. Also, lots of storage options. You can get it in 256 gigs, 512 gigs, or a full terabyte. Let's talk about the Magic Keyboard. The Magic Keyboard itself has a specific hinge that hasn't been included on previous accessories, allowing for adjusted viewing angles up to 130 degrees. And actually, let me just Google that real quick, because that one looks interesting. Oh wow, it's kind of like a miniaturized Surface Studio, except there's a keyboard protruding out the bottom. Really nice of Apple to, make something like that. That thing is going to cost ya $299 for the 11-inch version. Because of course everything has to be expensive at Apple. Alright, so thoughts. I probably rambled on about this new thing, but it is kind of interesting. A little disappointed that they can't put Mac OS in this thing, because that would make productivity on an iPad so much better. But nah, it's just limited to just apps and what. But it would have been nice though. Put Mac OS on that thing. Again, I don't know when this thing will reach the Philippines, and I don't know when anybody will buy it, since, let's be real here, who buys iPads nowadays? It may give the Surface tablets a run for their money, but I still believe that Surfaces are better just because it has PC functionality in it, and it's not just, apps. Alright, now for the final tech news, because I rambled on way too much. Samsung is now working on a 150 megapixel sensor. So the smartphone megapixel race is going on another level this year, as new reports indicate that Samsung is working on a new ISO sensor, the 150 megapixel resolution. This is said to be the successor to the 108 megapixel sensors used on the Mi Note 10, the Mi 10 series, and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Aside from an increase in resolution, the upcoming sensor will be physically larger, as well as a 1-inch sensor size. 1-inch sensor size, that is huge. This will trump the 1/1.2-inch sensor used on the Nokia 808 PureView and will be as large as a sensor used on prosumer digital cameras such as the Sony RX107 and the RX10 IV. The movement sensor will use a 9-in-1 pixel binning tech used in the Galaxy S20 Ultra, resulting in 16 megapixel photos. Yeah, we've come such a long way, almost to the point where that sensor almost equals a mirrorless camera. And meanwhile, I'm stuck with a 8 megapixel phone camera with very interesting lighting. I guess I need to wait for a phone that has that sensor to check it out for myself. And would you look at that, there's already a couple. So like with the ISOCELL HMX, Xiaomi is expected to be the first brand to use the upcoming 150 megapixel sensor by Q4 2020, aka the end of the year, with Oppo and Vivo to use the sensor in the upcoming phones come 2021. And we will have to wait for quite a while to actually get the thing released. So that's about it for this week's Tech Talk. I'm sorry if I skipped over last week. There was a bunch of technical difficulties that went on, but don't worry. Next week will be a little bit more consistent this time. And maybe a little bit less rambling. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like if you want to. I don't mind if you don't. And if you guys want to enjoy more content like this, subscribe. And I'll see you guys again next time. This has been World Ryan, signing out. Da 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 da. I'm singing this song cause New Horizons got released, but I'm sad because I don't have a Nintendo Switch.